This is the 1959 Santiago International Tournament, a memorial tournament, Torneo de Arturo Alessandri Palma, held from April 20th to May 6th, right on the heels of the Mar del Plata tournament. And 8 of the players here at Santiago also played at Mar del Plata. That was a 15-player event, this a 13-player event. Bobby, not having his best event here, tied for 4th place with 7 wins, 4 losses, and a draw. But this event held from April 20th to May 6th, 1959 in Santiago, Chile. 13 grandmasters and masters from Europe, North America, and South America competed. Well, the tournament was fairly important for Fischer, who has only recently begun to compete in international events. Just did not fare so well in this particular event. And part of the reason, according to this, that Fischer and Pachmann, after the Mar del Plata event, kind of went on a tour through South America on their way to Santiago. And apparently, in this event, several rounds, Pachmann was playing Fischer's prep, and Fischer was playing Pachmann's prep. So, you know. And it's been a long, long trip, I think, for the 16-year-old Bobby Fischer. Well, you guys remember when you were that age, no discipline at all, I'm sure. And, you know, stay up till all hours. Who knows? I'm making excuses for him. Simply said, he did not play the best chess of his life in this event, but he played some pretty good chess. This game was played on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Herman Pilnik is his opponent, and as the name sounds, he was born in Germany, Stuttgart, even though you see the Argentine flag flown there. Born in Stuttgart, 1914. He actually passed away in Venezuela in 1981. He came to Argentina in 1939 for the Olympiad and stayed there along with a lot of other players. Previous to that, he did win the Stuttgart Chess Championship in 1929. He was Argentine champion in 1942, 45, and 58. He became a Grand Master in 1952. Now, you may recognize the name Pilnik because there is a variation in the Spanish game, or the Ruy Lopez. There's a variation called the Pilnik variation. In this game, however, we get a Sicilian defense after e4 and c5. Knight f3 and knight c6 is the old Sicilian. d4, and we get to an open Sicilian with pawn takes pawn and knight takes pawn. Knight f6 and knight c3. d6 right there, the classical variation. Bishop c4, Sosin's attack. Benjamin Sosin, or Benjamin Sosin. Sosin lived from 1896 to 1956. Soviet chess master, a writer, a theoretician. He was active in the 20s and 30s. e6 is Mark Taimanov's variation. You know that name. Taimanov lived from 1926 to 2016. He was a leading Soviet player among the world's top 20 from 1946 all the way until his embarrassing loss to Fischer in 1971. He became a grandmaster, Taimanov did, in 1952. And he was Soviet chess champion in 1956. Bishop b3 here. Bishop e7, castles, castles, bishop e3, mainline Sosin here, bishop d7, f4, knight takes the knight on d4, bishop takes the knight, bishop c6, queen e2, queen a5 was played here. Pawn to b5 is by far the most popular, and after knight takes the pawn and bishop takes the knight, hitting the queen and the rook, we take the bishop because it's undefended, but now this pawn is left at the disposal of the black knight. That is the most commonly played line. Pilnik trying queen a5 here. And f5 from Fischer, e5 hitting the bishop. Bishop f2 and bishop to d8. Gets the question mark. Here, b5 is also more frequently played. Of course, the idea is to come to b4 next. Bishop d8 from Pilnik. Now queen's rook to d1 and bishop b6. g4 from Fischer. Don't play. I know that's undefended, right? Well, if you take that, you allow your opponent to consolidate. That does get a question mark. Oh, it changed it to an inaccuracy. But the point is, I can now force a rook trade with rook a d8, and after rook takes rook and rook takes rook, I own the open file. You can try knight d5 here. Probably not queen c4 is a cheapo. We'll look at it in a moment, but probably knight d5. Let's talk about queen c4. If queen c4, bishop takes bishop, rook takes bishop, and then rook d7 defends. Yeah, it gives me inaccurate, right? Because bishop takes bishop check, rook takes bishop, and then the rook can defend. In any case, Bobby with g4 here, h6, h4, with the idea of playing g5. Knight h7 trying to stop g5 from being played, but apparently h5 is the way to keep the table level. h5 super attacks the g-man, and if g5 knight g4 takes, probably compels the bishop trade after all, and after rook takes queen b6 pins the rook, or you could queen c5 with the same effect. Okay, in any case, knight h7 was played and frowned upon. Rook d3, I was fully expecting g5 to be played anyway. Why not play it anyway? If takes and takes, if you play takes with your knight, I've got queen g4, and that's looking pretty good. Okay, rook d3 was played. King h8, bishop d4 being the better choice. Even gets an exclam. d5 seems like a move. A thumbs up. King h8 it was. Now g5. Bishop d4 now. And king h2. Yeah, it gets a question mark. Rook takes bishop. Very nice move. Rook takes bishop, of course. Rook takes bishop. And after pawn takes rook, bishop takes. And you've got quite a bit of pressure aiming toward the black king's castle. You don't really want to play bishop takes the bishop here. Here, and then I'll play here. And I get a thumbs up for that. Get a big red X for the bishop takes d4. You know, what if I play pawn takes pawn and open this diagonal? All right, the bot is saying go ahead and take the bishop, but if I take the pawn first, doesn't that put sharper teeth in white's fangs, right? Because now, and it gives me a double exclam for it. Why is it a double exclam now and not before? Anyway, you get the check there, and that's pretty strong. Let's go back. King h2 was played, and bishop b5, right? The bot saying take the knight. The point of taking the knight is it's an attempt to decoy my rook. I won't take with the rook, I'll take with the pawn. And star. If you take with the rook, bishop b5 can now be played safely. Okay, coming back, bishop b5 is the move played right away. And now knight takes the bishop, queen takes the knight, c3 hits the bishop. Again, we don't want to take bishop takes bishop here. And the queen's coming to e5. So c3, bishop takes bishop on f2, rook takes the bishop, queen to b6, rook to g2 now. And queen h5 looks menacing here now. d5, bishop takes the d-man, queen's rook to d8, queen h5 is played. Now g6, queen takes h6, rook takes the bishop. Boy, is he desperate. Game's lost. Pawn takes the rook, and h5 is coming, my friends. e4, fruitless. Rook dg3, battery on the g file, queen on the h file. Queen d6, now h5, rook g8, too little, too late. H takes g6, f takes g6, pawn f6, passer, baby, passer. Break the pin on your rook with king h1, and you have a killer position, don't you? Once the rook can slide to the h file. Queen takes the d-man, surrenders the pin. That's a self-mate, isn't it? Forget it. I just take your knight, and he does. Boom. And resignation. The bot indicating this, but after king h1, it's going to be lost pretty quickly. The rook's coming over shortly. But this may have been just a fancy way to resign, right? No, I guess not, because he didn't resign. Otherwise, he would have just played it out if he just wanted a fancy way to resign. But as you can see, the point is, after king takes the queen, this is checkmate. Let's go to the numbers. 96.5 accuracy. So he just definitely outplayed Pilnik here. Pilnik had an amazing opening along with Bobby, but White just blasted him in the middle game. 2850 single game rating for Bobby Fischer.